Call this meeting of the Duncanville Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of Board of Trustees is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. We will now move into closed session. I call this meeting of the Duncanville Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. We will now take action for closed session. Do I have a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation to offer the one-year term contracts to the listed professional staff members?
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and second. Are there any questions, comments? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. Do I have a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendations to offer the one-year probationary contracts to the listed professional staff members?
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Are there any questions, comments? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. Do I have a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendations to offer the Do I have a motion on this category?
Yes, Madam President, I move that the board moves to approve the recommendation of the superintendent as presented to offer the one-year term, dual contract to the listed professional staff members, but for head coaches, their contracts will be reviewed for future assignment.
Thank you. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. One more, sorry. Do I have a motion?
Madam President, I move the board moves to approve the recommendation of the superintendent as presented to offer the one-year probationary dual contracts to the listed professional staff.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. Do I have a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation to offer the one-year non-certified contracts to the listed professional staff?
So moved.
Sorry.
Second.
You can have the next one.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. Do I have a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendations to take no action on the contracts below as listed?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. Joe Veracruz will lead us in the invocation as we start the opening ceremonies.
Please rise. All right, let us pray. Heavenly Father, once again, we thank you for such an abundant school district, Lord, just all the opportunities that you've given us. As we finish out the last 5 weeks of school, Lord, I pray for endurance. I pray for strength. I pray for patience. More than anything, I pray for the reignition and just the passion that we started out the school year with. As always, Lord, our safety of our children come first. We pray for our board members, our leadership team, Lord, our principals, everyone that has anything to do with the children, their safety, we pray. In your mighty name, amen.
Alexander Elementary will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flags.
Some Alexander Eagles today. Better? Okay, now we're rolling. Okay, so good evening, all. I'm really proud to be here with some Alexander Eagles. These are our Mathmania competitors this year, 3rd and 4th grade students who've willingly taken on the task to wow us with some math skills a little bit later in the month. I'd like to introduce who they are. First of all, their sponsor, Miss La Rosa Barnes. And then we have a collection of 3rd and 4th graders. Amani Harper, Ethan Delgado, Jessica Arellano, Patrick Harris, Haley Vielman, Eric Abrego, Joseph Ramos Reina, and Giovanni Ramirez. So.
Thank you.
We now move to the superintendent's reports, and I turn it over to Dr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam President. I have 3 items that I would like to report on this evening. The first is about Central Elementary. Central Elementary was featured on NBC, DFW. The title of it was Carter in the Classroom. So for all of the early risers starting at 5 a.m. in the morning, Central Elementary will be featured throughout the day on the telecast. The features led up to a live broadcast that took place at 4 p.m. This was an opportunity during NBC DFW's Brag About School segment with Carter in the Classroom, and so the pictures serve as a sneak preview of their visit. Wayne Carter is NBC5's education reporter covering parenting and school programs throughout the North Texas area. His Carter in the Classroom reports look at unique things that school districts are doing to help students succeed, as well as answering questions from parents that they have about what's happening in the classroom. So this was really an exciting time for our students, great exposure for the district. The video from the actual event is still available on the website to be seen, and so we're really proud of that and wanted to share an update with you on that. The next item that I had, obviously last week was a really heavy testing week for us, and this is the testing season. And so just to give you an idea of the number of test takers that we have and the work that goes into making sure we maintain a safe and secure testing environment, we had over 6,000 students taking tests on last week. You can imagine the volume of students and the number of documents and the other things that we have to make sure are secure. So the STAR exam, they're taken by every Texas public school student. Test results will provide us as a school district, our parents, with where students are in terms of their preparation for the next grade level. And so we had multiple subjects, and we'll continue through like the first couple of weeks in May as we make sure that all of our students are tested. So I wanted to give you some insight there. Also, during this time, it's a really busy time just to maintain the testing environment. So typically, during the months of April and May, we try to minimize a lot of the outside school activities and visitation so that we can make sure we have our students focus on STAR. And then the last thing I had for you this evening for Superintendent's Report, Duncanville ISD has been selected as one of the nation's best communities for music education. The National Association of Music Merchants, or what the music people know as NAMM, it's a program that recognizes outstanding efforts by teachers, administrators, parents, and students, as well as community members who've made music education part of a well-rounded education for the students. And so this recognition really speaks to our choir, our band, and our music programs from district-wide at all grade levels. It's an absolute honor to receive this distinction, and it's a national distinction. And so we've received lots of state recognitions this year. We've had several of our choir students participate in state, and our band as well. But to get this distinction really highlights the work that they do and the quality of students that we have. So those are the three items that I wanted to report tonight, and that concludes my report.
Very good, thank you. Each board member is required to accomplish 6 hours of continuing education. And I want to report that all of our board members have satisfied that requirement. And I'll read down the list. Myself completed 10.5 hours. Vice President Carla Fahey, 11.25 hours. Secretary Joe Veracruz Jr., 33 hours. Tom Kennedy, 21 hours. Phil McNeely, 16.5 hours. Renee McNeely, 18.25 hours. And Cassandra Phillips, 34 hours. We now move to recognitions, commendations, as we welcome Ms. Tiara Richard.
Good evening, Madam President, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Smith. I come before you once again, here to recognize our Made with Pride honorees. And this is actually our last Made with Pride recognition for this school year because, as Dr. Smith has mentioned, the focus is going to be on the classrooms and making sure that we're not interrupting any of that instruction. So this is a special group. It concludes our Made with Pride honorees for the school year. So up first, we have our Teacher of the Month from Smith Elementary School, Ms. Cassandra Tatum. She came prepared in her Duncanville blue and red. Perfect. So, Ms. Tatum is a math interventionist at Smith Elementary. She works in small groups and models lessons for teachers. She closely analyzes data consistently and works with students. And in addition to that, just heavy work in the lifting of making sure that our students are prepared and helping our students get prepared through the teachers, she also knows the name of every student and most specifically their individual needs. So she works to understand what they need to learn the lesson and helps those teachers take that home and try to drive those lessons home. Outside of school, Ms. Tatum volunteers as a tutor for students. She cares about students and their success. I'm told that at Smith Elementary School, the theme this year is Teaming Up for Success. Well, Ms. Tatum is described as a valuable member of that team, and she's all about having, she's all about being an all-star member of that team for success. So it's an honor today to recognize Ms. Cassandra Tatum as our Made with Pride in Duncanville Teacher of the Month. All right, so next we have our Made with Pride in Duncanville Staff of the Month, Miss Vicky Mercado. All right, so Miss Vicky Mercado, she works in our safety and security department. And she was chosen as this month's staff of the month by the committee, and she was nominated by the security coordinator, Ricky Thomas. So Vicky is the district safety coordinator. Her role requires a high level of organization and attention to detail. Those skills are so very valuable when it comes to special event planning, making sure that facts and information get to the proper people, just making sure that notifications happen the way they should. Those skills are just so very valuable when it comes to checking on 911 calls, supporting any safety need in the district. Vicki always asks just the right questions and makes sure that, again, that the proper people have been notified and are aware of what's going on. Her experience and positive attitude are benefits to the rest of the safety and security team. In his nomination write-up, Mr. Thomas said, "The diligence and dedication demonstrated by you should never go unnoticed. We all see the enthusiasm and extra hours you put into each and every day. So we want to thank you and celebrate you as our Made with Pride in Duncanville Staff of the Month, Ms. Vicky Mercado." Last but not least, we have our Student of the Month from Acton Elementary, Mr. Jairo Chacon. All right, so Jairo Chacon is a third grader at Acton Elementary School. And he was nominated by his third grade bilingual teacher, Mr. Dustin DeWeird, or Mr. D as they call him, right? Okay. So Jairo is an exceptional student and is described as a model citizen. He demonstrates what it means to be polite, kind, and giving. In his actions, Jairo is a leader. He is helpful with students and teachers alike. In fact, he regularly will bring donuts to school to pass out to teachers and staff and other students simply because he wants to. And I asked, he said his mom buys the donuts. But he picks them out. And so he helps classmates. He also peer tutors other students who may be struggling on assignments. And his teacher said that he is just a complete joy to have in the classroom. And so it is a great honor, Jairo, to recognize you as our Made with Pride in Duncanville Student of the Month. Congratulations. And so as we recognize our Made with Pride in Duncanville staff, teacher, and student of the month, and they take their photo, we have a quick video to give you just a little more insight into why they deserve this special recognition.
Duncanville ISD congratulates the following student, staff member, and teacher who are made with pride in Duncanville.
I come to work every day for these babies, not just the ones I see, but all of them, because I have built relationships with the students across all grade levels. That's the first thing I try to do, because I feel that if you build a relationship with the child, like they'll respect you no matter whether they are in the building or outside of the building. Because children come to school with all different personalities, they come from different backgrounds, and the respect level will be totally different. Building relationships is the most important thing to be an effective teacher.
My favorite part of the day is anytime I get to help somebody. First, I would say that we do our very best to watch as much as we can, or getting them the proper access that they need to their building, because it's important to me to make sure that the kids are safe, not just because that's my job, but also because I'm a parent. And so we're always doing our best to keep an eye on everything that we can, just anytime I can help somebody.
I want you to know about that it takes to be a good student by being respectful and helping each other and be honest and listen to your teachers. My favorite part of the day is math. I like math because it's like so good, and my teacher is Mr. Dover. He always helps me whenever I need help. I will encourage students to be respectful and always be responsible and to be the best so you could succeed.
These honorees truly are made with pride in Duncanville.
All right, and so every month we also try to ask, or we also ask our parents of our honorees along with the staff to also stand, because it takes a team to really support these individuals, and they may be unseen in a lot of ways, but the people behind them really pushing them are even more unseen. So we want to take a moment to shine a light on them. So will the family and staff members and fellow employees of our honorees please stand? And I see Vicki missed her daughter's softball game. She got to see some of it, but her daughter's here too, so thank you for that. All right. So up next, we have another special recognition that we would like to do. On Saturday, May 9th, that was a very special day, and I think some people will remember it because it was spring break Saturday, the first Saturday of spring break. Some people will remember it because it was just one of those days where you saw a team that was resilient and strong come out on top and really represent Duncanville as a whole, as a city of champions. And so I want to invite up our basketball team coaches, the players, and all of the support staff for the team to please come up to the front, please.
I think it was April 9th.
I'm sorry, April 9th. That was March.
March 9th.
March 9th.
March 9th. You're both wrong.
It was a long time ago. So, before we get into our state championship basketball team, I want to take you back to that day. And so we have a short little video that will show you that demonstrates the feeling and the way people walked off the court after into that game, feeling that pride, that celebration. There were a lot of tears, but really everyone was so excited and just really super proud of our Panthers. And so I want to do that video really quick.
Throughout the whole time, you know, it was just a different kind of confidence. You know, they just really believe that they're not going to lose. So we grinded it out in the second half, and you know, for us to only be down 5, the way we played the first half, we knew we were going to win.
Just really, really proud of them. And like I say, the winning never gets old. Kids played hard, worked hard, and when you see them every day in practice, it's really rewarding to watch the kids come and the cream rise to the top.
Duncanville is a city of champions, and so our kids exhibited what a champion really is, to be behind, to fight through, press through, stay confident, and that brought us to victory, and that's what we're about in Duncanville.
You know, it's just these boys, they believe in each other, they believe in themselves, they all grew up, you know, through this journey. There's a different kind of love. I mean, the tears that we saw, guys just hugging each other after the game and just holding on. I mean, I think a lot of it is, you know, they didn't want to stop.
It is sweet joy. It's just pure joy is the best way I can explain it. I'm so excited for them. It's such a well-deserved win and championship for them. They have worked very, very hard and diligently. And these young men really have exemplified what that means to be the champions. They are the epitome of resilience.
We want a basket, a wide basket. We want a basket for who needs it.
You know, it's different. You know, Duncanville is different. You know, it's just a different expectation, and you know, it's not called City of Champions to come in second. You know, we're here to win championships.
So finishing a season with a record of 32-7, the first title since 2007, and the fourth state championship title for Duncanville's boys basketball team here in our proud city. I'd like to recognize our Made with Pride, you guys are Made with Pride too, but our Duncanville Panther team. And I have a little something for you, Coach, to hang in your office, and we'll put in a work order for that. You don't have to do that. But we have an acrylic plaque that shows some of the news coverage you received, really celebrating the titles and just showing the highlights of that. So we'll take a picture with you in that shortly, but I want to give you a chance to say a few words if you'd like.
Dr. Smith, school board members, and the entire community. I want to thank you all for the support that you gave us through this stretch, supporting us even when things weren't going too good at the beginning of the season. We really appreciate it, and we couldn't have done it without you. Thank you.
And so, board, we'd ask all of the board members to please come down. The athletes have a nice gift for you they'd like to present to you. So if you would mind coming down, we'll line you up. They'll present you with your gift, and then we'll do a group photo. So come on down, and again, the board face the audience, and then we have a few items for you. And now we'll do a quick photo with the athletes behind. Did y'all want a little taller? A little taller. And coaches on the end.
Nah, it's
Can we take a
their
big step
moment.
forward first, though? Or if you guys can come forward. Good. Coach on the end, please. Yeah. Find a window pane for the. Great shot. Thank you.
I don't think so. I don't think so. You've been hanging around Poor Carlos. Never
Okay, we will now move to the consent agenda.
Madam President, I make a motion to consider the approval of the consent agenda with the added addition of items from 6, the action agenda items A, C, D, and E be moved to the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to address the consent agenda items along with items 6A, 6C, 6D, and 6E. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Carla Fahey and seconded by Tom Kennedy. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. Okay, we now move to the first agenda item, which is,
The
proposal for student travel, Duncanville Youth and Government, which is YAG, Summer College Tour, presented by Samuel Nix.
Good evening, Board President, members of the board, Dr. Smith. It is my absolute pleasure to bring to you for your consideration this evening a consideration for our youth and government students to attend a college tour experience to top HBCUs, elite public and private, and Ivy League universities. And this is a pretty robust tour that is being proposed for our students to ensure that they have an opportunity to experience the university life, to experience campus away from their normal and close environment. A firsthand experience. Research shows that minority students and low-income students usually choose not to go too far from home to go to college. And most of our students, just our locally, are choosing local universities such as UTA and A&M, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But oftentimes it's because of a lack of experience, a lack of exposure. And so this proposal is coming to you to expose our students to more opportunities, more universities, so they can have a bigger and broader experience for the decisions that they would make. The recommendation is that these students are able to travel the dates of July 1st, July 6th through the 21st. You have in your board book there the travel accommodations and the robust plan for which to take those students and all of the information. So it would be my pleasure to answer any questions that you may have about the travel at this time.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I just like on the travel, the agenda, who made the agenda? Are they working with YAG? Are they working with someone? How are all these colleges? I mean, I think it's a great opportunity for our kids. How were they chosen? And the places, I mean.
Great question, and thank you. The person that came up with the agenda and the person that is actually here, his name is Mr. Kane. Mr. Kane is a phenomenal sponsor of our youth and government students, and so Mr. Kane is here to speak to his rationale as to why he chose these colleges, as to the want and the experience to have these students travel to these particular places.
Board, thank you for having me here tonight. Going to the question about why these colleges were chosen, we actually have students already that have 1,400 plus on their SATs, and they would like the experience to visiting an Ivy League school. We also have students that are very interested in going in Howard University or Morehouse and Spelman, top HBCUs that have the grades to get in. And like Mr. Nick said, that most students don't have that opportunity, so they don't go. So we had an interest meeting with our current YAG juniors, and they picked, the colleges, and then from there, me and Ms. Lee, the other sponsor, kind of figured out, okay, how can we make this work where we can visit, the top elite, private and HBCU colleges.
So, okay, so the itinerary though, did you do the itinerary
Yes.
and everything too? And so you've been in contact with all these schools, so they're meeting with?
Yes, when they go there, they'll have a 2-hour tour. The first hour will be a guided tour of the campus, and then the second hour will be what they call an admittance, where they talk about what it takes to get in and things like that. So every university will be a 2-hour tour. Yes.
And what means are you raising funds?
As some people might be aware of the website, Donors Choose. It's a teacher-only resource where teachers can put trips and projects on there that are funded by over 100 corporations, along with private donors, things like that. The difference between something like that and GoFundMe, because it is only for school districts, it is tax deductible. So that's why corporations and private donors choose over like a GoFundMe or that kind of account.
One more question.
No problem.
I see you have the cost per student with the airport and the shuttle and all that, but I didn't see the hotel accommodations in that list.
Yeah, the accommodations, I don't.
I know the names of them. I see them, but I didn't know the cost.
Yeah, the cost that you see there is for accommodations and all the travel costs, plus gas, plus food. It really is an all-inclusive trip. The only thing students wouldn't have to pay for is souvenirs, things like that.
Okay, where it says flight, airport, shuttle, and meals, that's also inclusive of hotel.
Yes, if you look where it says budget, 12-passenger van, 12-passenger van, gas, and then it has the food, $30 per day, and then it has some culture activities for the students when they're in certain cities. So the total cost per student for that time is $24.77.43.
Okay. I just didn't see the word hotels accommodations in that on page 7. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
You've answered my question. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Tom?
And yes, I have questions to you, but I just want to thank you and your program for putting this together for these kids. It's a remarkable opportunity for these kids to see something they probably never see or would never had the opportunity to see. And, you know, probably the first time for some of them to be out of Texas, much less Duncanville. So exciting thing. It sounds really good. So.
Well, thank you very much. I'm definitely trying to change the culture at Duncanville High School. You know, I noticed when I got there this year, a lot of, you know, if you look back at the valedictorians and the kids that are in the top 1 or 2%, you know, like Mr. Nick said, they end up going to UTA, UT Dallas, UT A&M, which is nothing wrong with those universities, right? But when you have a 1,500 on your SATs and you're number 3 in your class, you can get into Ivy League, right? And these kids don't even apply. And when I ask them, why don't you apply? They're like, well, I don't even, like, what does it take to get in? Like, they have no knowledge. So being able to take them on a tour, hear the hour of what it takes to get into these universities, and then actually being on campus and seeing the campus, right, it'll give them that feeling of when they're there, okay, I see myself here. I can be one of these students. And I think, you know, here in Duncanville, we really need that when it comes to, you know, our, not just our youth and government students, but our students as a whole.
But I just got to tell you that we've had them go to Ivy League schools too. The
We
public
have.
needs to know that. This is a great thing, but we've had kids go to Ivy League schools almost every year, but we're trying to get more. I know
We
that.
are.
just
And
need
I
to-
guarantee you
just
next year
need
we
to
have 3 or
say that
4.
We've had them go.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, do I have a motion to consider approval of the student travel, the Duncanville Youth and Government Summer College Tour?
I move that we approve this. Second.
Renee and
Cassandra.
I got us for some both of us that time.
Both of us.
Okay, we have a motion made by Renee McNeely and seconded by Cassandra Phillips. Are all those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. Next, move to the athletic fields, items F, athletic fields at Duncanville High School, contract amendment, presented by Melissa Cates.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Smith. If the board will recall, on February 25th, the board approved a contract to replace our current fields at Duncanville High School with turf. And as part of that contract, we had a meeting internally on April 3rd with various individuals around the district. People at that meeting included the superintendent, the assistant superintendent of operations, the athletic director, various head coaches, and the band director, as well as other individuals in the district. And during this meeting, Hellas Construction visited with the team to determine timelines and really go over the design of the fields and work through all the issues that we need to do strategically to be able to get the fields done in time and not to interfere with any of our seasons. During this meeting, some requests were brought up by various coaches and other people in the district, including some additions that they were requesting as renovations to be done at the same time. In addition, there was a request made to install fencing around these new turf fields so that we can protect our investment and also for the safety and security of our students. So you'll see before you a list of items that have been requested to be added as an amendment to the Hellas construction contract for the turf fields. And there are various items including the new fencing, new paint, track striping, new goalpost, stadium chairbacks, replacement of flooring, and a multi-purpose room. So the bid is before you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Yes, Bill?
It's not so much question. Lord knows those chairbacks needed replaced. I got here in '82. They got here in '86, and they outlasted me. Did we give any thought to instead of just adding more chairback seats?
You know, I was not part of that meeting, so maybe Dr. Smith can speak to that.
I know we needed to replace them, but it seemed like we could improve the field a little more if we'd added more chairback seats.
Yeah, most of the discussion was centered around addressing the seats that were there. We didn't get too much into addition.
You didn't invite me to the meeting.
So,
what's the deal?
Yeah, so we didn't get into the additions, but that is definitely something that we can consider. Absolutely.
Yeah, an hour later.
Be later after, if the board approves to amend this, then by next month, we can have another amendment with additional seating.
Oh, that later, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, when you're doing that, Mark, I'd like to at least look at considering putting some on the visitor side as well, so we can show some hospitality to our.
Oh, we don't like.
I know that, but nonetheless, they would like to sit in comfort as well.
Certainly, we definitely can do that. We'll bring the amended contract and share that with the board next month.
Yes, ma'am.
With some of the renovations, I would like to see baby diaper changing tables in at least one spot in the facility, be it women's or men's restrooms, like with the basketball arena, the softball field, the baseball field, just a diaper changing. Yeah, the football field has one, and I believe the auditorium has one. But I just think, where spectators are, it might be a nice idea.
Get one Toys R Us.
And you're going to install it? Okay.
I'm retired.
Okay, we'll bring that to the next meeting as well.
Are there any more questions or comments? Do I have a motion to consider approval for athletic fields at Duncanville High School contract amendment?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. That motion carries 7-0. We will now move to information discussion agenda item A, first reading of policy update EIF local, presented by Samuel Nix.
Good evening once again, Board, President, and Dr. Smith. It is my pleasure to share with you the first reading of our recommendation to ensure that we are truly writing success stories for all students as we align our policy to state requirements and state mandates. This is an update recommendation initiated by Voices in Our Community. A grading and graduation coalition was formed, comprised of teachers and students, parents, administrators, campus administrators, district administrators, counselors, in order to better understand and provide feedback, to discuss, to debate, but ultimately to collaborate on a plethora of recommendations. So this evening's focus is on the alignment of our current graduation policy to state standards. As our school board, you have set a wonderful example of giving of your time, of advocating for all students. And this committee, this coalition, has followed your example. And I would just like to take just a second to thank and to honor the time of our parents and our students and our teachers and our counselors who took the time to meet and to discuss and to participate, and many of them, or some of them, are here this evening. And so I would just like to take a moment to recognize them. So if you are here and you participated in the Grading Graduation Coalition and lend your voice, would you please stand and be recognized at this time? Thank you. So these meetings were held on the following dates: November the 14th, February the 5th, December the 5th, and February the 5th in the evenings. A major aspect of our discussion was to ensure that whatever the committee or whatever the community or whatever they were saying and whatever the challenges or the recommendations that they wanted to bring to us, the major thing was that there was no standard that was lowered, that rigor wasn't lowered, that we weren't doing anything or the recommendation wasn't coming forth that would in any way lower any expectations in the District of Duncanville. The challenge was that in every field in Duncanville, excellence is the standard, whether in the classroom, whether on the field, whether on the court, whether in competition. Whatever the recommendations are, they shouldn't lower the standard, but they should provide opportunities for all students to be successful. In 2013, the House Bill 5 was passed with the Foundation High School program. And the Foundation program basically stated that you needed 22 credits for the Foundation plan, which is the core of the Texas High School Diploma program. Stated that 5 endorsement options allow students to focus on related series of courses. A higher performance category called the Distinguished Level of Achievement was introduced. Performance acknowledgments that note outstanding achievement in specific areas was also introduced in 2013. For the Distinguished Level of Achievement, you needed the Foundation program requirements, but in addition to that, you needed an additional credit in math, which included Algebra 2, an additional credit in science, and then at least 1 endorsement. The asterisk there is stating that the Distinguished Level of Achievement must be earned to be admitted into Texas Public University under the top 10% automatic admission law. This replaced the old minimum high school program, the recommended high school program, and the Distinguished Achievement program. And so this was the replacement in 2013. What this looks like, here's a chart of what that looks like. The new state graduation plan, as we just delineated, basically the foundation requirements, you need 22 credits to graduate. And then the distinguished level, you need an additional math, an additional science, 2 additional elective credits, and a student needed to declare an endorsement. And there are 5 endorsements that districts can offer: STEM, business and industry, public services, arts and humanities, and multidisciplinary studies. Our current policy reads that in order to graduate from Duncanville, for a student to graduate without an endorsement, the district requires completion of 6.5 credits in addition to the number mandated by the state. Our current policy reads that with an endorsement, the district requires completion of 2.5 credits in addition to the number mandated by the state. And our current policy reads that in order to graduate with a distinguished level of achievement, the district requires completion of 2.5 credits in addition to the number mandated by the state. This chart delineates nearby high-performing districts whose graduation requirements are in alignment to the state. And so as we see here, the state of Texas requires 22 without an endorsement credits to graduate, 26 with an endorsement, and 26 as the distinguished level of achievement, but articulating that you have to include Algebra 2. Duncanville requires 6.5 credits above the state for graduating without an endorsement. So that means a student would need 28.5 credits to graduate without an endorsement. With an endorsement from Duncanville, you would need 28.5 credits to graduate. And then distinguished levels of achievement, a student would need 28.5 credits to graduate, according to our current policy. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, where does the .5 credit, I thought we required 28 credits for graduation. And correct me if I'm wrong, I thought the .5 credit for the 28.5 was for if a student wanted to go get community service and they wanted to get that credit, then they could earn that .5 credit. I've been gone a while, but I didn't know that we required 28.5 credits to graduate. What is that .5?
Well, as the policy currently reads, that a student would need 2.5 credits in order to graduate. Our current policy does not delineate the fact that it's
Not mandatory?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that is what we're talking about then there, the community service. It's basically saying,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha.
And thank you for bringing that to the attention. Yes, so as we're looking at the yes,
So
sir.
you're saying there's something wrong with having 28? Why don't we, what are we bringing this?
So we're bringing this as a recommendation because the policy has not been,
Who's recommending this?
well, the coalition and the committee that was put together, because these are the things that,
Community, there was 3 parents on there. Not much community.
well, there were more than 3 parents on the committee.
It said parent.
Yes, sir. We had several representatives from the high school, parents, and then representatives also from collegiate, university, as well as teachers from both the collegiate and the high school.
Coalition together because we felt like, who even started?
So this was what we were hearing from the community, from our teachers, from students, from parents. And so this was an opportunity to just hear their voice and hear their recommendations. And so that's what started the coalition, and looking at the recommendation.
What were they saying? Was it too hard or
Too long?
too challenging?
Absolutely. Well, not necessarily too hard or too challenging, but
say I heard it. I can say I heard it through the grapevine. What are you hearing? I don't see anything.
yes, sir. So because our graduation requirements are much higher than other districts.
And that was
That's bad.
that was selective. That's what we wanted to be above,
Yes, ma'am.
beyond the rest.
Yes, ma'am. And
I
so,
don't see even on here Cedar Hill or Lancaster or Mansfield or Frisco or Prosper or
Yes, ma'am.
Allen. I mean,
I don't think it's always good just to join the group.
was this something the state originally recommended? Or they just, I don't know how this got started, really. I don't know. Usually we kind of hear tidbits and things
Yes.
from students or parents or even teachers from whence it came.
absolutely. So this is how it came for us, is that we were hearing those tidbits and things. And so the principal was brought to our attention. Can we look at this? Can we look at aligning this? Is this something that we can consider?
This is going beyond looking at it. This is bringing just like, boom, here we are. And that you're bringing the changes. Is that what you're doing?
Well, this is the recommendation that's come from the committee, just in terms of things to look at for possibilities for.
It reminds me of a phrase that I haven't heard in years, and it was the DD, dumbing down. And that used to create me.
Right.
That's what I
I'm just
hadn't
saying,
heard
most of the time,
that in years.
something's going on, we're hearing it.
Yes, sir.
I've never heard this at all.
Yes, sir. So this is definitely something that, like I said, the people who are on the committee, we talked through this and communicated about this and wanted to give them a voice and just wanted to give them an opportunity of, let's talk through what the concerns are or what the possibilities are and what the recommendation would be if, well, so for an example, here's one of the concerns. Our new accountability system is really forcing us to review how we're looking at our policies. It's really causing us to reflect on some of our practices. So for an example, in 1990, TOTS was passed. In 2001 is when this was, when it was decided that the credits would be as they are. In 2003, we know tax. And in 2012, STAR was introduced. 2013 is when the state introduced the new House bill. And then in 2019 is when we're proposing the alignment. One of the reasons I don't think wrong would be the appropriate thing, but here are some of the reasons that we were given to align, right? Here are some of the things to consider. Our current policy impacts three things, mainly. Number one is attraction and retention of students to Duncanville ISD. Number two is the impact that our current policy has on ADA and on our funding. Three is the impact on our accountability. So for the first one, for our average daily attendance, at the end of semester one here in Duncanville, we had approximately 40 seniors who were at risk of not graduating due to insufficient credits. Those seniors approximately would then go to another school, right? If all of those seniors left, it would impact our funding by approximately $100,000. So that's a gauge there or something to consider for ADA.
And that has nothing to do with them not doing their work or doing their.
Well, there are a myriad of reasons why, and some may be because they don't do their work, and some may be because of other issues. But if a student is in jeopardy of not graduating because of 28 credits or 28.5 credits, and then they can transfer to another school and graduate with 26 credits or 24 credits, and if enough of those students leave, it definitely impacts our funding. And so that's how the impact on ADA would work. The second reason is the accountability system. And that's our A through F, and that's our new accountability system, which definitely looks at our graduation rate, our longitudinal graduation rate, which is in 4 years. And so, of course, there are three parts: student achievement, school progress, and closing the gaps. So for the domain one, or student achievement is basically calculated in three parts. The first part, 40%, is how students perform on the STAR, right? Their performance on the test. The other 40% is CCMR, which is college, career, military, and readiness. And that's calculated into our accountability. And then the last part, of course, is our graduation rates. And how
Graduation rate last 96?
96.
96%, yes, sir.
40, if we graduated 40 more students, we'd have 101. I don't see 40 students making that big a deal on graduation rate.
Yes, sir.
I mean, we graduated 900.
Yes, sir. And so this is the impact that it could potentially have on the graduation, 40, and 20%, and just what that would look like, whether it's 40 kids and potentially some other years may be lower or maybe higher. But that's just the potential impact that it could have. For closing the gaps, one of the things that it looks at is the 4-year longitudinal graduation rate, and that's just how long does it take students to graduate, right? And when we're looking at this, most of our students are graduating in 4 years, but some graduate in 5. Some have to go to PACE, and there are other options that we provide students to be able to graduate, and so those are options for them. But this basically is just things to consider and just recommendations based on what we are hearing from the community and from teachers and students and some of the parents and things of that nature that brought this to our attention as to why we developed the coalition. So with that being said, the reasons brought forth today being accountability, being possible impact on funding, being possible impact on accountability, depending on how many students would or would not be graduating, the recommendation is to align the current policy to align with the state. which would read that students without an endorsement would need no additional credits beyond the number mandated by the state. With an endorsement would need no additional credits beyond the number mandated by the state. And then to graduate at the distinguished level of achievement, the district will require no additional credits beyond the number mandated by the state. So with that being said, it will be my pleasure to answer any questions that you may have. Yes, sir.
I don't know that I did have one question. With block scheduling, how hard is it for a student to get the number of credits that we now require?
The block schedule,
They passed everything as far as 32. So
I guess that's my point. The point is, this has been a source of pride to this district for a long time, and I've
Yes,
been
sir.
here a long time, so I know. But, you know, we did this because we wanted to be better and have something different about our school that made it stand out. And I have real reservations about going backwards because students have every opportunity in the world at Duncanville High School to accomplish and achieve those classes. If we say now, okay, so you don't want to study hard, we'll let you graduate with 22, how many courses are they not going to take that would benefit them later on in life or to get into college? Because now they've got an easy way to get through. I just can't see this being beneficial to anybody long term. I understand and I appreciate the parents and people that participated, and maybe they don't know the history of why this was done. But, you know, we just wanted to be different. We wanted to be better. We wanted people to, when they graduated from Duncanville, they could say, hey, we did this, and we did more than you did, you know, to be better than Southlake and Allen and those schools that we're always compared to that we're not as good as. Well, actually, we were better than them. So, you know, you're going to have to do a lot to convince me to change it, and I'll just be straight up about that, because I think it's a good thing for kids to have to, you know, we talk about, what is it, grit and determination and all those words we use. Well, now we're giving them a way out. They don't have to have grit. They can just show up, take whatever classes are basically required, and move on. But I just think it's wrong to expect less of our kids instead of expecting more. Kids can do whatever we ask them to do if we ask it in the right way, and they'll accept the challenge. And that's my opinion.
Thank you. Absolutely.
And, you know, I just don't want us to go back.
Thank you.
That's the wrong way to do. That's just all I got to say on the question right now.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
And how would this affect class ranking? I mean, if I wanted to be valedictorian or salutatorian, would I take more classes? Would I have the option to have 32 credits, or am I just going to settle with a little 22 and go ahead and graduate, or can I shoot have the most credits and best grades?
That's a great question. And if your question is, you know, how does it affect them? Of course, the same as now, they take as many credits as they would like to earn. And, you know, it's depending on the weight of how it's weighted and how it's calculated. And so as of right now in Duncanville, all students need the same number of credits to graduate, which is 28.5. So that's whether you have an endorsement or not, or distinguished or not, or anything of that nature. So to Mr. Kennedy's point, you know, Duncanville has been a standard for a long time in terms of recommendation and requirement for students, and our students still shoot for the moon, even with that.
Well, and with fewer students in class, is there a chance we'll lose teachers? I mean, if class doesn't make, because you don't have to take another class or two. I mean, there's a lot to think about in all of this.
Yes, ma'am.
Scheduling and loss of teachers, or expectations of our students.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Renee's had her hand
Yes.
down.
No, I just, when I was reading through this today, here's my question. Okay, 32 credits. So the kids going, I know they do a lot of them by the time they're seniors through early release, and they're doing local and stuff like that. But if we set the requirements for 26 credits, okay, for the distinguished and the above, what happens when they've earned the 26? Because if you're going all day, what are they?
What's their incentive to
I mean,
continue
I'm
to
just-
come? And yes,
and
absolutely.
That's thinking ahead, but in my mind, I'm thinking, so like, do they get to just kind of do they have to take classes if they've already
Right.
earned their
Right.
26? I mean,
Right.
I was trying to figure in my head, how is that going to work
Right.
now with our block scheduling like we have it?
And those are great points, and those are things that, you know, most districts deal with in terms of seniors who, absolutely.
I'm
So,
sure you would. I'm sure, but I just.
Yes, ma'am.
I was.
and these are great questions, and of course, great things to ponder and think about. So, you know, as a first reading and just bring it to the attention, these are great questions that we can go back and. These things were discussed in the committee, yes, sir. This and many other things. And so the point of the committee was, well, the committee wanted to bring the recommendation for the board to consider and to hear. And so, yes, sir.
I mean, did y'all, all positive, this is a positive, this, which, did you talk about negative things? What could this cause, changing this in the committee?
Definitely.
Share 'em.
Definitely. So one of the concerns absolutely is what happens when students earn their credits, right? So does that mean that seniors would have early release, one class, two classes? What does that look like for them? Does it look like lowering a standard? Is that what we're trying to do? Is that the actual recommendation that's coming? Is it look like lowering rigor? Does having more classes make a district better? Does having the fact that you're taking more classes, all of these things were discussed, you know, at length, and that's why we had so many meetings, you know, about different. Yes.
I was just going to say, I get the 22 kind of for like the PACE kids, and a lot of kids at the high school. I mean, I get that our goal is, and their goal is just to graduate, to finish with everything they've got going on. My concern too is we have a lot of kids up there who aren't like our YAG kids, who aren't like our Collegiate Academy kids, who aren't like our STEAM Academy, who are just not real motivated and are capable. And I had a nephew graduate a long time ago from here that was very capable, but he was going to take as few courses as he could to get by, and ended up in the top 10% in an A&M he didn't want to be so my concern is if we do something like this, are we making it easy for those kids who are capable, and there are a lot of them up there who just don't really like school right now, and you know, we want to just kind of get on with our lives.
Yes.
That's just a concern.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Share with, go back to what I asked you. You talked about the stuff. What were some of the answers? What were some of the consensus that you drew? See the consensus about what you're bringing to us. How did y'all group answer some of the things we're bringing up?
Thank you for that. Absolutely, and thank you for that. Yes, sir. So in terms of lowering the rigor, lowering the standard, the perception that having less credits would not be a favorable thing for the district. One of the challenges that we have is not having the historical reference as to necessarily, you know, why were the credits set as they are? The challenge there with the committee was understanding how the accountability system may impact the district, may impact students. Having students on the committee and hearing their voices it wasn't so much a lack of rigor, it was students are going to give you what they have, regardless of how many classes that they take. And so whether they take 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 extra or 4 extra, whatever the case may be, your students who are going to perform are going to perform, your students who are not are going to struggle. And so what are we doing to ensure that we're providing opportunities for all students to be successful in Duncanville and that they don't have to leave and go to other districts? They don't have to leave and go to other schools. That we don't lose out on them being a part of success in Duncanville, and that we don't lose out on their funding. So to go back to your question, some of the other challenges were, will our schedule work with this? What will that mean for our schedule? What will that mean for our grading in terms of our weights and in terms of our valedictorians and our salutatorians and how these things are weighted? So all of those things were discussed. the answers to all of those things we didn't really come up with at that particular meeting, because it was, is this something that we can consider? Is this something that we can talk about? Is this something that we can ask the board to review? Is this something that we can ask the board to look at? And absolutely. And so this is something we can bring to the board's attention. We can make sure the board is aware of these things. We can make sure the board can discuss and provide information and feedback to us as to rationale and what we need to do as a community and what that looks like. But to your point, Mr. McNeely, much of the information that we talked about, much of it was positive. Not much of it was negative. I agree 100%. And so the perspective of the coalition of the committee was a perspective of ensuring all students were successful, ensuring that we're providing opportunities for all students to be successful, not necessarily a perspective of wanting to be better than any other district. But I completely understand that may be a perspective that, as I started off, Duncanville has a standard of excellence in everything that we do. And so if the perspective is that having a higher graduation rate gives us a leg up, a sense of pride, a level of excellence that others don't have, then that's a perspective that we didn't necessarily convey at the coalition at the meeting.
It would seem to me if we had a graduation rate of 96% past year, and I expect it would probably be better this year, kids have met the challenge and they're doing the work. Don't see any need to do this. The kids know what's expected of them, and before they come to Duncanville High School, they should know what's expected of them. I mean, it's right there for them to know. If they only have 18 credits and come in as a senior, they shouldn't come here. Bottom line, we don't need the revenue that, and it just doesn't make sense. Now, I hope anyway, that every kid that comes to our school has to have a graduation plan. And that's done with them in the 9th grade. It's laid out what they have to do along the way. If these 40 kids you're talking about haven't done that, that's our fault. We should have been following up with those kids every year, telling them, hey, you're falling off here. You need to do this. You got to work harder. You got to do these things to get out of here. And that's our job as school people, is to make sure those kids don't fall behind. Now, I know kids are going to fail courses and all that stuff, but they still have opportunities to take makeup work. They have opportunities to do whatever it's called.
The credit
recovery, yes, sir.
We provide everything in the world to get a kid through school here. And most of them, 96% of them do it. I'm pretty proud of that. I don't know how that compares to Allen and South Lake and all those people. I don't care. But I think that's fantastic that we have that good graduation rate. I don't want to lose any kid, but we have to make sure that we don't. But I don't think lowering the standard is going to make a whole lot of difference. We're just going to have a bunch of kids that first semester of their senior year, they're out of here. Or they're wandering around in the hallways with nothing to do. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be a good idea to me.
Yes, sir.
Just the way I see it. So.
Okay.
What's the
Thank you.
timeline on this?
There is no timeline at this point.
Usually they bring it 1 month, we'll vote on it next.
So that's what today was about. Obviously, we're not in a position with the feedback that we received today to vote next month, and so that wasn't the expectation. However, I do think just a point to be mindful of, the new A through F accountability system has what we call some TEA math that is associated with the graduation rate. And there are certain penalties that exist within the system for districts. And so I just want to call Ms. Bonneau up to help clarify, when you say we have a 96% graduation rate in a generic way, that doesn't equate to, what you may think it is in the new accountability system. So I just want to be sure that we unpack that so you have the right information so you can operate from that perspective.
So is this more about our accountability rating and TEA? Because, the plan went into effect, 2013? Senate Bill 5. So is it more about their change in our accountability rating? That's why this is.
I think it's a
this
big
is
part of
taught
it,
now.
because under the new rating, we could be hurting ourselves scoring in the way the new rating is designed. And so that is one challenge that we have to think about. Because of the design of the A through F accountability system and the way it looks at the graduation rate and all the nuances of that calculation. Because remember, this is just year one. So next year, well, this year, we at the end of this year, as a district, we'll be getting our rating and our schools will be getting our rating. So both. So moving forward, as we try to do the best we can in this system, we just have to know we're already starting at a deficit. And so that may be okay, and that may be what we want to live with, but it's important to know that. And so I wanted
Well,
Ms. Bonneau to
I
map
think
out that distinction.
I think we have to decide whether we want to please our score in TEA, or do we want
Absolutely.
to make the best choice for each of our students?
Absolutely.
And steer them through a pathway or a reason to be
Absolutely.
successful.
And I'm all
More
for,
choices.
I want the board to know, I'm all for having a community-based rating system separate and
Well,
apart from
Yeah,
the state's
that
A
would
through
make
F.
the news for sure.
So if they say we're a D because we missed those points, we have the opportunity to say, well, no, we have a higher graduation rate, and maybe in your system, it's not reflected, state, but that's something the board will have to process. And let me have Ms. Bonneau explain that graduation rate piece.
Okay, so I've rolled the slide presentation back to the piece that starts off speaking to accountability. So I know that I've spoken with you all about this before, so I won't go back into how student achievement is measured and that kind of thing. We're just going to look at graduation rates. I'm just going to talk about graduation rates tonight. So it's 20% of one piece, the student achievement piece, which is also called Domain 1. So it is that is STAR scores, everybody put together, all tests, all grades. It is the CCMR rating, but the graduation rate at 20%, I know that 96% sounds high, and it is. We were at 96% for 2 years in a row. But each piece of that is scored A through F individually, and 96% is a C. So that's just something to consider. Now, I have not done the math. I didn't know that we had 40 students at risk, or I would have done the math before I came in to tell you how that could potentially change 40 students when you're talking about as many graduates as we have. But when you get into graduation rates, similar to attendance rates, if we were looking at that for distinctions, and we talk about upper 90s, that sounds like such a high percentage, but the expectation from the state is so much higher. So it's just something to consider. Yes, sir?
If 96% gets us a C, what gets us an A, 100%? And that's just unrealistic.
It's below 100%. I would have to do when Dr. Smith, I say this tongue in cheek sometimes, but it kind of is true. It's TEA magic math. So you put in a percentage and it spits out a number for you. So, but I will be happy to get that together and put it together in a one-pager that Dr. Smith can send out to you guys with some comparisons.
I guess I'm too old school or something, but that doesn't make sense. I mean, we know that every kid that starts isn't going to finish. The way they grade us on that, it's by whoever starts in 9th grade has to finish in the 12th grade. And we know that that's not going to be 100%. So if their expectation is, say, 99% or 98% to get an A, I'd like to see what Island Park and those people's true graduation rates are, because I have a feeling they're not true, but whatever.
Yes.
I can't believe they're any better than we are. Just don't ever believe. Because to me, 96% of 1,200 and something kids graduating 4 years later is pretty good. Me, I mean, maybe it's not the TEA, but they're crazy down there anyway.
Unfortunately, the crazy is grading us. So we have to figure out kind of how to work in there.
We can only hope that Senate Bill 3 or whatever they're working on now will abolish the STAR test and A through F. Keep our fingers
So while I have your attention, I want to show you one more place. Mr. Nix talked also about the alignment in the Closing the Gaps indicator. Closing the Gaps is a part of our accountability system that's designed to be compliant with the Every Student Succeeds Act, which is federal regulation. It's 30% of our accountability rating overall. So the first piece, the student achievement piece we just looked at, that could be a 70% weight, and this would be a 30% weight. There are several measures. Graduation rate is one of those measures. But what they do in this category is they look at all of our student populations individually. So all race and ethnicities, special education, by our LEP, our ESL population, are economically disadvantaged. And then they also clump our students by either continuously enrolled with the district or non-continuously enrolled with the district. And in each one of those individual populations, they say, what was the graduation rate? And so we want to meet, of course, all of the markers, but meet as many of those markers as we can. And the feds set those percentages to show that we don't have gaps in our individual populations within our graduation rate. So graduation rate is actually a place that we could, if we met the marker in domain 1, which is student achievement, then by nature, if we were meeting the marker there, we would also meet it in domain 3, which is closing gaps, and that would help us in 2 different spots. So it's just one piece, but one piece of the whole picture.
So basically what you're saying is we require less of our students, we get a higher grade.
No, sir, what I'm saying is if we have more graduates, we get a better grade. But however we get them.
But I'm hearing that if we make it easier, and they have to do less, we'll have a higher grade. That makes no sense to me. Our job is to educate kids, to get them ready to go on in the world. And by having them do less, to me, I don't see that getting kids ready to go for it. It gives them an easy way. It teaches them another thing to get away with, so to speak. They have enough of that now. I don't know. Sorry. Don't agree with it.
Any questions for me
Thank you,
before
Ms.
I?
Mel. Appreciate that
Thank you.
analysis.
Any more questions, comments? Okay, thank you, Ms.
Thank you very much, absolutely.
We will now move to information discussion, agenda item B, advanced academics, presented by Kathy Sewell.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Smith, and members of the school board. I have a brief update for you all regarding our advanced academics program. Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge Dr. Nanika Bernard. She's here with us this evening, and she has been working tirelessly on our advanced academic program underneath the vision of Dr. Smith. Since her position has begun and the inception of this as a growth opportunity for students who are not only our GT gifted students, but also those students who are just advanced and work hard, as we've talked about a moment ago. What I wanted to just update you on very quickly is some of the supports that we have put in place under Dr. Smith's leadership and also through Dr. Bernard's work in our elementary and secondary schools. Just a quick highlight are we have supports for our gifted and talented students. We also have supports for our teachers with their nature and needs training and some of their ongoing 6-hour updates and things that are required for them to be on point for our students. Our CCMR alignment, which is our laying the foundation curriculum program that actually is a rigorous aligned program for college readiness for our younger learners in our elementary schools. And also Duke Talent Identification. We're looking at qualifying students not only in 4th grade and up, but we're hoping to qualify them, as you can see, in the secondary level, where these students will be able to take an SAT test seated alongside juniors and seniors, competing with them on the actual SAT, so they get those extra practice times and can actually get state recognition as 7th graders, depending upon where their scores may lie. Our secondary supports also to highlight, again, we are supporting our students and teachers. We have introduced a pilot for Springboard, which is through the College Board to support advanced placement and pre-advanced placement curriculum. We have had great success with that as a pilot this year, and we're going to continue that in our middle schools for reading and math across the board. We have our TSI, which is our Texas Success Initiative testing for community colleges and college prep courses. We have a partnership with the University of Texas for a few college courses that we've been piloting with UT on-ramps. We also have, as you can see the acronym there, the NMSI and LTF, that's laying the foundation. And I'm going to go over NMSI in a minute, which is the National Math and Science program that we are a finalist for. So I'll cover that in just a second. Again, all of our standardized tests for college readiness and our MAPS program. Basically, what we're looking to do, and we appreciate the Board of Trustees for your support for advanced academics, is putting more training opportunities in place for our teachers to understand the AP exams, to understand the level of rigor that's there, to understand the SAT, TSI. What does it feel like to take these tests? And so our teachers are getting that awareness so that they can be better informed for our students to perform at a higher level. So we're doing that with curriculum and support systems and teacher training. Okay, so our National Math and Science Initiative. Just to give you all an update on this grant opportunity, we have been selected in Duncanville this year as a finalist for this program. So we are very excited about that. Dr. Bernard and our high school staff, along with Mr. Nix, myself, and others, we have been working with our high school teachers and the NIMSY Foundation. They are securing a donor, and hopefully if we pass the finalist round and get accepted, we'll get lots of money, over hundreds of thousands, to strengthen our advanced placement and our pre-AP programs in our secondary schools. So as you can see, NIMSY promotes instructional best practices. They promote classroom-ready resources. They supplement and enhance and provide for us donations through donors so we can get more advanced materials, as well as hands-on training. And as you can see at the bottom section here, I talk about the DeSoto and DeSoto ISD and Cedar Hill ISD programs. We are also in conjunction with their teachers for a training collaboration through this grant opportunity. And here's the gist of that. If you're an AP Physics teacher, there aren't many of you around. It's a very highly skilled and advanced placement course. And so through this partnership, if awarded, we're hoping to have these collaborations so our advanced placement teachers aren't alone, that they have communities in which they can plan for professional learning and advancement for our students. It's a philosophy of the district to have professional learning communities, and we want to advance that for our AP teachers. Very quickly, we've got a chart here about using data, and as you can see, other than in our 11th grade category, we're in an upward trajectory. Our students are performing better, they're going in the right direction. We have success to show that, and we're very excited about those opportunities that, again, Dr. Smith and Dr. Bernard have advanced in our programs for our students. Our Collegiate Academy at Duncanville High School. This is very exciting. I know Ms. Thomas was here earlier. I'm not sure. No, she's gone. But we are very excited. We are about to advance our sophomores this year that will be rising juniors. Many of them will be going almost full-time at a community college next year at Mountain View. And how exciting is that? We will be graduating. I know we have students now that are getting associate's degrees, but just think that's going to be exponential in a few years because of the opportunities through your support for the Collegiate Academy. So it's just getting better every day. We're very excited about it. And another great initiative that Dr. Smith has brought is the Superintendent Scholars Program. Many of you board members were there a few weeks ago. It was a very exciting time, and our gate specialist, as well as Dr. Bernard, put on a great program. Our choir was amazing, and we had great food and fellowship, and we really celebrated the advancement of our students. And As you can see, our numbers have grown from 63 students from its inception to this year we had 92 students honored at this program. And word of mouth gets around. Good news travels fast, and so I'm anticipating with that leap of numbers from one year to the next that this, raising the bar, elevating our programs are going to really get the word out, and our parents and students are going to be talking to their neighbors, and we're going to have more students to celebrate. And so I'd be happy to answer any questions that you all have on any of the slides, or just any updates you'd like to ask me about. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a real quick question. Probably on the second slide, you mentioned UT ramp.
On-ramps,
We're piloting some classes with UT. Can you tell me what classes you're piloting?
I will have to defer that to Dr. Bernard. I believe it was a computer science class.
Classes in 1301. Those students have an opportunity to earn both their senior level English course on the high school side, but they also have the opportunity to earn college credit for the entry level English 1301 and 1302. So our teachers at the high school are partnering with UT professors to give our students that strengthened opportunity. So they are satisfying both the high school credits and college credits.
Okay, I just didn't know if we were doing that. That's exciting. Yes. The other thing I think is so exciting is that we are maybe going to have 6th or 7th graders beginning to take the SAT if they can qualify. What an opportunity to have that experience, to take it, and practice it. I mean, that's really exciting. I wouldn't have wanted to do it, but I'm glad.
I know that's that question, are you really smarter than a 7th grader? I'm not sure some days in my experience, but thank you, Dr. Bernard. And yes, the UT program, they pair adjuncts with our high school teachers, and so this venue allows for students to have a more rigorous curriculum and then choose that college credit if they so decide at the end of the rigorous course. So it's a great opportunity and one that we've taken advantage of, and we'll hopefully bring more of those to you in the future. Anything else?
That's all our questions. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
We will now move to information discussion, agenda item C, update on STEAM, Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, Mathematics Academy at Kennemer Middle School.
All right. Thank you, Madam President and Board of Trustees. I'm here again to give you a quick update. Thank you, Dr. Smith, regarding our STEAM program. And they are going to load it for me very quickly. And as you can see, we have our STEAM applications. Those have been out. So we wanted to give you all an update as to where we are with the progress check, sort of what's happened at this juncture in the spring after spring break with parent applications and things of that nature. And so what we have to update you with this evening is we've had a total of 194 current 5th grade students who have applied. Our current Duncanville ISD total is 187. So the difference of that number of 7, those are Duncanville residents who are not enrolled in our Duncanville ISD schools. So that's just a little bit of a difference. But the majority of our students are current Duncanville enrolled 5th grade students. And as you can see, we've had the computerized lottery was run. Our parents were notified by mail, and right now Dr. Rentz is working with our school staff to verify which parents and students are accepting their applications and going forward, and then to see if any on the wait list will move up if people, from some unforeseen circumstance have to move out of the district or are unable to participate. So we're in the process of that right now, so we wanted to bring that to you all, to the Board of Trustees, so you would know what's going on with the enrollment and what to expect within the end of the month of April, and that we will be complete very soon. Here is the layout of the makeup of what the STEAM students are for the 135 that were selected through the computerized lottery. We have 70% of these students that will be rising 6th graders who are economically disadvantaged. 51% are labeled as at risk. for various reasons of the 13 TEA criteria, and then our ethnicities for Hispanic and African American. 50% are male, 50% are female. So that's the layout of the demographics of our incoming cohort of 135 students. And lastly, I just included some quotes here from parents. Parents and students are very excited about the choice programs in Duncanville ISD. The STEAM Academy, of course, was the inaugural program for middle schools. Again, we just highlighted the Collegiate Academy in our Advanced Academics update. So just these quotes really illustrate how students are excited about their creativity. Parents are excited about students wanting to come to school because they're in these choice programs. And I just really want to thank you all for supporting this vision for choice in Duncanville ISD. It's been very meaningful, as you can tell by the quotes that we attached here to this PowerPoint. And so we look forward to choice at Reed and Byrd next year, and all of the wonderful things that you've approved and that the TRE has been approved to fund to just bring more opportunities to so many more kids in our middle schools. So thank you for your time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Yes, sir.
Did any of the kids that weren't Duncanville students selected? 7? Any of those kids, were they selected?
I'll need to clarify the rising fifth graders that will be sixth graders.
Whatever this number was you gave us over here where you said
187, 190.
there were 7 kids that didn't go to our school.
Yes, they're in the community.
No, were any of those 7 selected?
I would have to defer to Dr. Rentz on that. That's a great question. She's here with us this evening, and so she'll be able to report to that. And if they were accepted, we're still in the confirmation processes, so those numbers are still a little fluid. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, there was one student, and that's because it's an employee's child, and so they were given the ability to be in the lottery because they were an employee's child, and based on our policy, if you are an employee, your child can be transferred into the district. The others were not included in that lottery because we stated that it needed to be someone who lived within the Duncanville ISD zoning area.
I have one other question, just because I don't understand computerized lotteries, I guess. How did you ever come up with a 50-50 split?
Actually, this year, it was pretty close to 50-50 that applied. Last year, mostly, there were more girls that applied than boys, so it kind of just worked out. And it's not exactly 50, it's like 49.6 and 49, yeah, I mean.
It's kind of amazing that you could put that many names in a hat.
It really was. It was just, the overall was closer to 50-50. It was pretty close. We tried to make sure we were reaching out to a little bit more to boys that we did. Apparently, we didn't get as many last year. Yeah. I thought so too. It was like, ooh, pretty.
Kind of weird.
I don't have a question, but I want to make a statement. Y'all, I want to do this publicly. I had a question come to me, and I know last meeting, and I hope it's okay to say this, we talked about transportation to the choice schools and that was in the process. We were looking at that. And I wanted just the question that was asked is, how are you all providing transportation? I want to clarify that we will be, I think, this is what I told her, we would provide transportation for a student who maybe lived at Kennemer district but wanted to go to the health science or the business, okay? We are not providing transportation to Irving, Texas to pick up a kid if the parent wanted her child and that kid was accepted into one of those choice schools. Correct?
Correct. They would have to live in the Duncanville ISD zones, and that's part of the requirements to be in there.
And I said we were working that, but no, we did not have plans, I did not think, to go to DeSoto or Irving or Carrollton to pick up a child who wanted to be in one of our choice schools.
Correct. And with the students, the employee's child, they would then need to provide transportation, and that's an understanding. Correct. Correct.
I just wanted to publicly say that.
Yes.
Because that question, and evidently that was going around that we were doing that. They couldn't believe we were doing that.
Well, because it says on there that transportation will be provided, but they probably didn't read the caveat that you needed to live within the Duncanville ISD school zone to be eligible, so maybe we need to be clearer on that.
I know
Yeah.
this wasn't, but I thought I wanted to publicly say that, so that.
I get it.
A statement, or anything. I just wanted to thank Dr. Smith publicly for bringing these things to fruition, things the school district has needed for a long. Many of us up here on the board have pushed for and asked former superintendents to do, but were rejected. I'm just excited that we're finally moving in that direction, offering more choices, more opportunities to our kids. I'll be better off for it. Well said and done. Thank y'all for what you've done.
Thank you.
Dr. Smith.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and if I may, I would just like to acknowledge Dr. Rentz while she's walking back. She, when you talk about a computerized lottery and all of the methodology and the programming and things that have to go into that methodology, Dr. Rentz is absolutely brilliant. She has been able to really take innovation and take Dr. Smith's vision to this level, to be able to have a lottery and to be transparent. And so I just want to congratulate her on a job well done. And again, thank you all for your support.
Thank you. We now move to communications from citizens, and we received 2 cards. And before you make your way to the front, please allow me to read the following. State law prohibits board members from responding to speakers in public forum unless the topic regards a matter specifically posted on tonight's agenda. The board will carefully consider any concerns expressed, and an administrator will investigate the matter. At your request, the administrator will contact you regarding your concern. Speakers will limit their comments to 5 minutes. If more than 5 speakers are present, speakers must limit their comments to 3 minutes. If delegates of more than 5 people plan to speak on the same topic, they should appoint one representative to speak in their behalf or be limited to 5 speakers. Any discussion concerning specific personnel is prohibited in open session. If you wish to address the board regarding a personnel matter, please contact the superintendent's office to schedule the matter for a future closed session meeting. Having stating that, please come forward, state your name and your address, and you have 5 minutes to address the board. First, we have Sandra Gates.
Madam President, Dr. Smith, and other board members, and everyone else who is still here. Hello.
Hello.
I'm Sandra Gates. I'm a grandparent volunteer for Duncanville ISD, high school, and Smith Elementary. I have grandkids. I came to give a personal invitation to you all, Mr. Copeland, Ms. Fields also. I dropped one off at the plaza last week. We're having our career day at Smith Elementary. We would love to invite each and every one, if not everyone, if one of you all could come. This is on behalf of Miss Regina Patton. She's the counselor there. She says she has received a yes from the mayor, Barry Gordon. He will speak. I'm not sure which time frame he will speak, but if you contact Miss Patton, she can let you know. There are 2 sessions. There's one in the morning from 9 to 11:30. And there's another one from 12:30 to 3. She says she can accommodate your schedule. So again, if you have anything you need to ask about it, Miss Regina Patton, her information, her phone number is 972-708-3000. Or you can reach her, I believe her email is rpatton@duncanvilleisd.org.
And the date?
The date, oh, that is very important, thank you.
I'm sorry.
I'm a little nervous. It is short notice, but it's this Thursday, April the, okay. Is it the 18th?
19.
I was just looking on here that she was saying you have to do before, disregard that by the 11th. If you tell us the day before, we'll accept you. That doesn't apply to you all. So can I get tonight, or will you be contacting Miss Patton?
you say the phone number was?
It is 972-708-3000. And the number to the office is 972-708. I have two numbers, 2900. But her direct is 3000. And if you're worried about what you have to say, if you just say hello, you'll have them. The age is kindergarten to 4th grade. They would be so excited to see your smiling, different faces. Come in and talk to them.
For 2.5 hours? For 2.5 hours?
You only have to speak for 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. She just have several speakers coming in, but her time frame for the morning is from 9 to 11:30, and then the second one is from 12:30 to 3. No, you only have to speak for 10 minutes or longer.
And thank you for volunteering.
Okay, my pleasure. Thanking you in advance for coming.
Thank you, Ms. Gates. Thanks for the invitation. Next, we have William Hamilton.
Greetings. My name's William Hamilton, Duncanville resident, 46 years. Descendant of John Carr from 1836. 515 Magnolia. Offered several emails to members of the board and superintendent. You probably now can put a face to some of the emails. My concerns were several. One, I offered contact information to Hillsdale College, which offers a free Constitution 101 class, which includes study material for the teacher, DVDs, and free pocket-sized constitutions for every student. We have a new police chief, I understand, but fresh eyes on security is always good. The NRA, I know some people run their nose up at the NRA, but they offer grants for security advice to schools. Some of the things that Hillsdale also offers are free courses on Winston Churchill, the Federalist Papers, Declaration of Independence, and such. And for our test of what our government and teaching can do is ask for our students to take the citizenship test that our immigrants have to take to see if they actually know what's going on, because they are going to be the future of our country. They're going to be leading this country. They need to know what made this country. And if they can't even pass the citizenship test, then we have failed them. We have a problem with discipline. IDs not wanted. My wife, 40 years with the nutrition department, works in the line. A good 10% never have their IDs. The IDs, you're supposed to scan them, their pictures are supposed to pop up. All they're getting on the computers are smiley faces. System's broken. The having problems with ID theft. The kids don't have their IDs. They're lost. They left them at home. They're not in their pocket. They left them in the classroom. Then the kid comes with their ID. Their number's been used by somebody else. We have ID theft. When you have a fire drill, all these kids that don't have their IDs on, you go outside. When they come back in, who knows who's coming inside if they're not wearing their IDs? We have discipline problems from day one. My two children graduated from Duncanville in 96 and 03, and we've had the same problem each year with the dress code. It starts strong at the first of the year. By the end of the year, the kids are running the school. And then the next year, they redesign the dress code, but it's just a little bit lax from the previous year. And each year it's been lax even now. Now we've got them wearing pajamas, flip-flops. They've got nose rings, tongue piercings, lip piercings, all violations of the dress codes. They are having saggy pants where you can see their underwear. Midriffs are showing. Nobody is doing anything about it. They walk right past administrators, teachers in the hallway, security. They're just looking at their phone. The security officers at the doors to the cafeteria are more interested in their Facebook profiles than they are watching the auditorium. Kids don't even clean up after themselves. They have trash all over the place. And I'm getting a lot of this information from my wife because she does work in the kitchen. And she has reported to me that one day a lot of dancing was going on the tables with the principal in the auditorium dancing with them. She's not there to be their friend, or he's not there. I think it's a she. She's supposed to be an example, not a friend. And we need to do something about discipline because nobody can tell who's going to be coming back in after a fire drill if nobody's got their ID. And then also, how do they get in the school to begin with? So a lot of y'all have my contact information because you've gotten emails from me. You know how to contact me, and that's what I've got.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hamilton.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you all for coming to the meeting. Being that there's no further business, this meeting is adjourned.